In the previous life, I made a wish to be selected as the top one on the list of villains and was included in the entire villain variety show. Therefore, I was coaxed back to my biological parents' house by my elder brother and ultimately died a tragic death. Starting over, she remembered two things. 1. Don't go back to the Su family. 2. It's better to blame others than introspection. The list of variety shows has been released, and Su Yuan, who is powerless, weak, and timid, is clearly the best target for bullying. Netizens exclaim that Su Yuan is doomed and deserves it, specifying that he will be brutally abused. However, on the first day of variety show shooting, the big-name player accidentally broke the wishing suitcase, revealing the wolf-proof spray and iron bar inside, and was shocked. Su Yuan calmly rambled, "That's air freshener and double stick." The spoiled and capricious childish ghost, who refused to help move her luggage, would go against Su's wishes everywhere, beating drums and gongs in front of her door sooner or later. Su Yuan remained expressionless and said, "Let me know, you can continue playing the music when I enter." After serving as a supporting role for Su Yuan in a collaborative task, the incompetent spokesperson secretly wanted to reclaim it and began to manipulate Su Yuan, snatch the camera and engage in various behaviors. Wishing is like a puddle of mud, collapsing wherever you sit. Ah, yes, yes. Netizens. It's crooked. Can you be more serious? Everyone is working together to target you. There's no need for this silly and perfunctory attitude in public. What's outrageous is that after several episodes of the program, the people who originally had malicious intentions towards making wishes turned into small followers and collectively whitewashed themselves. What's even more outrageous is that the White Moonlight, whom Emperor Cheng has been secretly in love with for many years, is a wish. Netizens burst into tears. This wave of wishes is in the atmosphere, shooting love is not wrong. Keywords of the novel. The all-evil people variety show on the top of the True Thousand Gold Festival becomes popular with no pop-ups. The all-evil people variety show on the top of the True Thousand Gold Festival becomes popular with no pop-ups. The all-evil people variety show on the top of the True Thousand Gold Festival becomes popular with no pop-ups. The all-evil people variety show becomes popular with no pop-ups. The latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. No need, you can go now. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. No need, you can go now. Haicheng First Hospital. Su Yuan opened her eyes with a headache and a desire to crack. She instinctively reached out and rubbed her temples, then froze. She looked at her perfect hands in disbelief. Isn't her hand unable to save her amputation in a premeditated car accident? She got up from the hospital bed as if to prove something, searched on the bedside cabinet, and finally saw her phone in the drawer. Opening the calendar, she saw that the time displayed was 2018, and her phone slowly slipped to the ground. She was actually reborn, before she returned to the Su family and was hit by Su Tiantian's car. Don't wait for her to think more. The ward door was suddenly pushed open, and a tall man walked over. Su Zhaoshen looked at his younger sister squatting on the ground with a frown on his face. Su Yuan, do you know how dirty the floor is? I know you're jealous, but after all, Tian was raised by our family. Your foster parents have died and driven her away. How can you let her live as a little girl? When the two families got each other wrong at first, we can only blame that hospital. Tian is innocent. When listening to the same words as in the previous life, I couldn't help pulling a sneer on my lips. It's ridiculous that a man in his early 20s can't live without his parents if he has hands and feet. Recalling his experiences after returning to the Su family in his previous life, as well as Su Tiantian's framing, the Su family promised to treat him equally, but in the end, they favored Su Tian. After her foster parents passed away, she had no home, and it was her own failure to recognize this truth. In the end, not only did he suffer from depression and retreat, but he also lost his hands. Wishing, be sensible and stop making trouble. My parents and the other 3 brothers all miss you very much. As long as you come back, you and Tian Tian are our family's group pets. Don't you like filming? Big brother runs a talent agency, and I'll sign you and throw resources at you to clear your name. I'll also help you get rid of this unscrupulous variety show. No need, you can go now. Su Yuan stood up from the ground holding hands and picked up her phone casually. She took a step back and planned to walk around Su Zhaoshen's side. Su Zhaoshen quickly chased after him, blocking Su Yuan's path in disbelief. What's your attitude? I'm your big brother. I don't have a big brother, I only have one younger brother. Su Yuan's cold eyes slowly swept over his face. In terms of height, she didn't account for high quality, but in terms of aura, she didn't lose to him at all. Su Zhaoshen has been in contact with Su Yuan several times in the past few days. She looks timid and obedient, and yesterday she was about to let go and agreed to go home. It's only been a night now, why is wishing like a different person? Because he didn't notice that she had a high fever when he left last night, so he got angry again. He patiently persuaded for several days, but due to such a small matter, his face was shaken by the wish. He was also unhappy and deliberately threatened. Wishing, I can warn you that if you don't come home with me now, you will never step into the Su family again. I won't handle your black materials online, and I won't interfere with the variety show, All Evil Men. Your current brokerage company is not a good thing, and you don't have the money to pay a penalty. Are you sure you want to leave like this? My brokerage company is at least a thing. You can't even count it as something, so I know how to choose it. Su Yuan turned around and glanced at him, then without hesitation, took a step back and walked away, his back resolute and decisive. Su Zhaoshen was so angry that he kicked down the bedside table beside him. It was very good, and he scolded him for not being something, right? Okay, he really wants to see what he can achieve by not returning to the Su family as a wealthy young lady and being a group performer in the entertainment industry. Just the variety show featuring all the villains may leave Su Yuan with no solution. After all, those who are selected on the list of villains are not good masters, they at least have power and influence. What about making a wish? I can't even withdraw money from my body, I can't break the contract, and participating may only lead to being bullied and crying for my parents. Su Zhaoshen's lips curled up, and he couldn't wait to see the wish regret, crying for forgiveness. If we don't coax him for a few days, he won't agree to her coming back. After Su Yuan left the hospital, she directly returned to the 8-person dormitory arranged by the company. As soon as she stepped in, she saw her agent sitting on her bed. The agent also saw her and stood up suddenly, with a face full of anger. Where did you go? Did you know that the variety show was about to start shooting? You were already late. Forget it, hurry up and leave. I have packed your luggage for you. I know you don't want to go, but we can't do anything about the company's arrangements. If you can bear it any longer, the contract will expire in 3 years and it will pass as soon as you close your eyes. We won't be angry about it then. As the agent spoke, he hurriedly walked out with a wishing suitcase. I can't bear it anymore. The first thing I do when I get paid for filming a complete villain is to terminate the contract. Su Yuan followed behind the agent with a faint voice, throwing out such a sentence. The agent stopped and suspected that there was something wrong with her ears. She turned her head to look at Su Wish and said, "Didn't you say that this money should be used first to prepare gifts for your biological parents and family?" Upon hearing this, Su Wish's eyelids blinked and she was not interested in continuing to talk about the Su family. She changed the topic and said, "Sister, you're going to be late soon. Are you sure you want to continue delaying?" Right. Hurry up and leave. Your reputation is already fragile, and even dogs shake their heads when they see it. If you're late again, netizens will have to scold you to death. The manager's life is full of unattainable words. She doesn't have many artists under her command, but making wishes is considered the most promising, and as a result, she blocks someone else's path and is splashed with dirt and water to beat the rhythm. She sighed and couldn't help, so she could only explain. Please be a little more patient when you arrive at the program group this time. After all, we can't compete with other guests. That group of young gentlemen and young ladies can just coax and tease each other, so that you can avoid being bullied a bit. I'll try my best. Su Yuan got on the car first and leaned against the seat cushion, closing his eyes to rest. It is impossible to tolerate and tolerate. From her experience of participating in all evil people in her previous life, she has learned a lesson. Evil people will not let you go just because you are kind. The more timid you appear, the better they will feel bullied. She was already penniless and was about to reach a position on the streets, with nothing to worry about. No matter what, it would not be worse than now. The vehicle drove along the road and finally stopped at the entrance of the production team. Wishing to pull up the suitcase and walk inside calmly. With only 10 minutes left until the start of filming, the agent was anxious and urged her in the back, "Wish, you run faster, you're late when you turn around." "No, it's in time." Su Yuan lowered her eyes and looked at the familiar road. She had walked for several months, but it was clear that it only took 8 minutes from the door to the indoor area, and there were 2 more minutes. The agent outside sighed and felt that Su Wish was very strange today. She didn't listen to advice, so she had to give up and take a car back. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. I'm afraid I haven't used the restroom in 8 lifetimes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. I'm afraid I haven't used the restroom in 8 lifetimes. Welcome to the production team of All Villains. Today is the official day of filming, and the top 6 contestants on the list of villains are already on their way. I am host Xiao Si. I will witness with you whether our 6 contestants are as disgusting as netizens say. The host is wearing a red suit, with a pair of suit pants and high heels, and a standard smile on her face. A large number of netizens flock to the live broadcast room, saying, "We have to be our amazing director." I dare to shoot such a variety show. After all, the top 6 villains on the list are not easy to provoke, so I exclude making wishes here. I came specifically to curse and make wishes. I have already written all the essays. This person has no background and comes from a poor family. How dare he compete with Miaoyin for the role of Best Actress Cheng? He must be crazy. I am really disgusted to know that he is the third. She often bullies Miaoyin in the crew, causing trouble for her. To be honest, when she made a wish, she was lucky enough to meet our kind and generous Miaoyin. If it were someone else, she would have been banned by Su Yuan long ago. On the list of villains, making a wish is truly deserving, with 3/4 of the comments cursing her. Everyone, look. The first person to come to the program team is actually our teacher Lu Wen. As the host's words fell, Lu Wen sat on a suitcase, his legs sliding on the ground and shining as he appeared. He leaned against the wall like a puddle of mud. I'm exhausted. Teacher Lu Wen, you are praised by netizens as a big-name player, but you are the first one to join the program team. I wonder if you have anything to say to netizens. The host boldly asked questions. Lu Wen said, "There's nothing I want to say. I don't even recognize the title of the Pai Gu. I didn't wait for the host to ask any more questions. The sound of wheels rubbing against the ground came from outside the door, followed by a woman with a graceful figure walking in. She wished for a straight figure, with delicate white fingers holding the black suitcase pole. The camera takes close-up shots, allowing netizens in front of the screen to feel the impact of beauty. With a bright and charming face, curled eyelashes in the eyes are seductive, and the skin is as smooth as cream, with no visible pores. The dark and thick long hair was tied up, and the broken hair on both sides of the forehead was gently blown by the wind, making the whole person extremely beautiful. The host immediately shifted his focus and walked to the side where the wish was made, holding the microphone. Wishing and welcoming you, netizens are curious about what you know about Sandong-san's collusion with Cheng Yingdi. Do you have anything to say about this? I have clearly rejected him and blocked all his contact information, Su Yuan said lightly. The host nodded, looking forward as if waiting for her to say more. However, Su Wish had no vision and thought that he could leave after answering, so he pulled his suitcase and stood in the corner waiting for the program team's arrangement. Host. Can't you be more specific? What kind of ghosts are pulling black and refusing? It's you who seduced Emperor Cheng. I vomited. What's the use of blacklisting and rejecting someone after being exposed and damaging their relationship? Look at Su Yuan's right attitude, I really want to beat her up. Lu Wen is also 6. Did he forget to stand up for someone else's director and ruin a drama? Do you know that it was someone else's years of hard work, and he doesn't even recognize the title of big name brother? He's a male bitch, but he's also acting like a stand-up. When he promised to die, he was so angry when he saw her. Originally, Cheng Yingdi and Miaoyin had a good relationship, so he wished to step in and break up with her. I feel like the beauty of wishing is really worth looking at. It's so sweet to my heart, pure passers-by only kowtow and don't help her speak, don't spray. When there was only 1 minute left until the designated gathering time for the production team, 4 people, 2 men and 2 women, burst into the door. The man wearing torn jeans stepped forward and grabbed the host's hand, speaking anxiously, "Where is the restroom? I can't hold it anymore. Teacher Chu Huayan, the restroom is over here." The host was stunned. After receiving a reply, Chu Huayan threw down his 2 large suitcases and ran towards the direction of the restroom, spreading his legs. "I'm afraid I haven't used the restroom in 8 lifetimes, Gu Qian said with a red hair on his head, tugging at the corner of his mouth. Puhaha. Lin Runaway beside him couldn't help but laugh out loud. Only Xia Mingyue looked proud and impatiently urged the host, "Where exactly is our accommodation? Hurry up and arrange it, my luggage is heavy. Could you please wait a moment longer? Once teacher Chu Huayan returns, we will immediately take everyone to tidy up their accommodation." Mom, I'm laughing to death. Does the Chu family not have a restroom? Although it's funny, I prefer him to wet his pants and lose face. As long as I think about him, my brother has been hidden by the company for many years, afraid of overshadowing him. I have no good feelings for Chu Huayan. Xia Mingyue is really annoying. What's his mother's attitude? Do you think this is your home? She always acts like a little princess, and thinks that the whole world will let her go and spoil her. Gu Qian and Lin Runaway look quite gentle. How did they get thrown into the 5th and 6th place on the list of villains? After a while, Chu Huayan ran back and solved the 3 urgent situations. He was completely refreshed. Host. Could you please bring your luggage and follow me upstairs? The accommodation arranged by the production team is on the 3rd floor. Is there no elevator? There are 4 boxes of luggage outside my door, how can I carry them alone? Xia Mingyue walked over and saw the stairs, her face instantly turning pale. I'll help you pick it up later. Chu Huayan took the initiative to speak, showing off his gentlemanly demeanor. Thank you, then. Xia Mingyue only had a slight thought and her voice softened. While they were still arguing about their luggage, Su Yuan had already picked up her suitcase with one hand and stepped upstairs. Her relaxed demeanor contrasted sharply with Lu Wenti stopping on a staircase to catch her breath. Everyone's gaze fell on Lu Wen as if saying, "Why are you so empty?" Lu Wen couldn't bear such contempt. Wishing, wait. Su Yuan stopped and turned around, looking at him inexplicably. Is your suitcase empty? Lu Wen regretted just as he finished speaking. Even if he wished to show his skills on the show, he couldn't open someone's suitcase to see if there was anything inside. He changed his tone and said, "Forget it, can I exchange a suitcase with you for pick up?" My luggage is very heavy, Su Yuan said seriously, his black and white eyes fixed on him. After all, a breathless person who is tired of carrying clothes. Her box also contains iron bars and anti-wolf spray, which Lu Wen may not be able to lift. Joke. How heavy can a girl's suitcase weigh? Don't worry, let me do it. Lu Wen chuckled disdainfully, flipped his 2 large boxes towards the corner, and climbed upstairs a few steps to carry Su Yuan's suitcase. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Sleeping Trough, Is It Time to Fight? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Sleeping Trough, Is It Time to Fight? Su Yuan was very clear that Lu Wen was a stubborn person, and the more she refused to mention him, the more he would work harder. In order not to waste time, she decisively handed over her luggage to the man. Who do you look down on? Lu Wen pulled up his sleeve and held the suitcase with one hand, as if trying to prove something. He looked at the camera and then lifted it forcefully. His face turned red with a heavy suitcase, and he even wobbled his steps. Lie Trough, this wish is not to take the bed with you, this suitcase is too heavy. In order not to lose face, Lu Wen plans to grit his teeth and persist until the first floor before making a wish. However, imagination is beautiful, but strength is insufficient. He had not yet raised 2 steps, and his hands could not release the force, causing the suitcase to slide down with a thud. Ah! The guests who had just stood at the staircase were so scared that they rushed to dodge. The low-quality suitcase made a wish also fell open. The anti-wolf spray and several iron bars fell out, and clothes only took up a little space. Everyone was surprised and said, Why do you take anti-wolf spray and iron bar? Lu Wen was shocked and could not understand. Can't we guard against them, right? This is outrageous, my family. What are the suitcases filled with wishes? Lu Wen really makes me lose sight, a man is so weak. The strength of making a wish is a bit strong, those few iron bars look heavy, they are still solid. Speechless, really easy to pretend. I was the first one who said it was meant to prevent male guests, but I didn't believe it. I made a wish that I could do anything for the sake of resources. Among the 3 male guests among all the villains, which one had a bad identity? If someone liked her, she would definitely lick her face and lean up. That's air freshener and double stick. Su Wish's face didn't turn red and his heart didn't beat as he rambled. On the way here, she also forgot about her previous life when her agent prepared a guarantee for her because she was worried about being bullied. By the time she remembered, the person had already arrived at the assembly point. People. It feels like being treated like a fool. Whose air freshener bottle says, wolf-proof spray? Who has such a long double stick? Before everyone could digest it, Su Yuan had already gone downstairs and stuffed the things back into his cracked luggage. This time, the luggage could no longer be picked up and could only be carried upstairs. Lu Wen felt a bit embarrassed when he broke someone else's suitcase. He twisted his hands and said in a mosquito-like voice, "Hold on." Before he could finish speaking, Su Yuan had already left, and his face showed embarrassment. "Brother, it's okay to be empty. Don't try to be too strong," Gu Qian said with a serious heart, and then easily picked up his 2 large suitcases of luggage and walked upstairs. "Red hair, I'll go to your master." Lu Wen's face turned black. Other guests also carried their luggage upstairs one after another. Only Xia Mingyue went upstairs empty-handed and confidently said, "Remember to come downstairs and help me pick it up when you finish." "Okay," Chu Huayan responded. Others pretended to be mute and Xia Mingyue didn't dare to manipulate the other 2 male guests, after all, their identity and background were not easy to provoke. So she turned her gaze to the 2 female guests and said discontentedly, "Wishing, Lin fled." "Did you hear me? I have my own luggage downstairs," Lin fled politely, refusing. If it weren't for the sake of whitewashing, Xia Mingyue wouldn't dare to manipulate her like this. You know, the most important reason why she made it to the list of villains is that she lacks quality and has a high level of cursing and motherly content. No help. Su's gaze didn't even give a moment, and his voice was cold. How could you be so cold and ruthless? Do you know who I am? Xia Mingyue's eyes widened, her face full of disbelief. I don't know, I'm not interested in knowing. Su Yuanlong took a step forward and walked to the host's side, asking, May I ask where my room is? Just pick whatever you want, all 6 rooms are the same, the host replied with a smile. Okay, thank you. Su Yuan casually walked to the door of a room and stopped, propping one knee against the suitcase, intending to free up one hand to open the door. With both hands moving faster, Xia Mingyue patted the door with a snap and looked proud. I want this one, she said, wishing is true for 9, because 6 is flipped. On the first day, I just had sex with Xia Mingyue and knew that I couldn't wash myself white. I would be bullied both vertically and horizontally. Is this a broken jar? I knock, are these two going to fight on the first day? Excited, I really hate them. No matter who they are at a disadvantage, I am happy. To be honest, making wishes is polite and beautiful at least. Xia Mingyue is really useless. This wave of me standing here making wishes, is it the Navy invited by Su Yuan upstairs? Xia Mingyue didn't harm anyone except for being a bit coquettish, and she also has a strong background. Clearly, nowhere is stronger than Su Yuan. Mingyue, why not? Chu Huaiyan was about to give a few words of advice, but his words had not yet been fully explained. I saw Su Yuan walking directly to the last room holding the box, with a faint voice and saying, okay. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was no argument, and Wishing was a sensible person. Xia Mingyue has never lost a fight, and it has become a habit for everyone to let her coax her. Although Su Yuan gave her the room, this attitude made Princess Xia particularly unhappy. She walked angrily towards the last room and said, Wish, you go back to me. Who wants you to give? I don't want that room anymore, I want this one you have now. Shut up, go back and say, I'm going to hit someone again. Su Yuan frowned and lost patience. Xia Mingyue was taken a step back by the ferocity, and it was the first time someone had stopped her. If it were for the first time, she would have had her bodyguard take the person away, which was bound to achieve her goal. But now she's on the variety show and doesn't have any bodyguards around her. She even disdains to do it herself and can only threaten dryly, Wish, from now on, I will start targeting you. Oh, Su Wish tugged at the corner of his mouth, feeling a bit speechless, too lazy to pay attention to the other person's childish words. Quickly pull open the door and enter the room to tidy up your scarce luggage. Xia Mingyue didn't want to bother herself and returned to the room just now. Her luggage was all carried up by a few male guests, and after she moved it in, she casually placed everything. After taking out the duvet cover, I couldn't fit it for half a day, and in the end, it was thanks to Chu Huaiyan's help. Everything was calm, and all the guests packed their luggage and came out again. Su Yuan and Xia Mingyue happened to collide head-on, their eyes facing each other. As long as Xia Mingyue thinks about the recent confrontation with Su Yuan and falls behind, she can't swallow this breath. She looked up and straightened her chest like a proud peacock, and directly opened her hands to block Su Wish from passing by, with a hint of provocation in her eyes. Everyone couldn't help but sweat a bit. After a while, the two of them started fighting. Should they shout to stop first, or should they just come forward and fight? Pull directly. If it hurts Xia Mingyue, it's over. End of this chapter. Chapter 4, Director Wang, you are really not a good person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4, Director Wang, you are really not a good person. Su Yuan raised his eyebrows, his expression calm, and his gaze fixed on the person in front of him, waiting for his next words. Xia Mingyue caught the attention of the Wish, withdrew her hands, crossed her waist, and pointed to her side. I want to be closer to you, you stand next to me. Whatever. She made a wish to stand in an empty position in the queue, and for her, the cue was the same. Everyone was dumbfounded and said, "Is that all? It's okay if we don't start fighting, but we didn't even have a second argument." This operation also confuses the netizens in front of the screen. This is the end. You guys are playing games here. It's okay if we don't fight, we're not cursing at all. It's outrageous, Xia Mingyue seems like a child, haha. I'm going to start targeting what kind of ghost you are. Although these are all villains, I'm sorry, I really hit them. The proud and stubborn young lady versus the poor and cold little slut. Puhaha, I'm laughing so hard upstairs. Although making wishes is really a mess, relying solely on the traffic supported by black fans, it's not generous for you to give someone such a derogatory name. Host Xiao Si didn't expect this conflict to end so quickly. She quickly spoke up and told everyone about the next arrangements. Since everyone has packed up, please come with me to the lobby downstairs for today's shoot. After the 6 guests followed the host downstairs, they saw the director holding a large blue box waiting in the center of the hall, and they felt an ominous feeling in their hearts. Wang Dao saw everyone come down and walked towards them with a smile on his face, saying, "All packed up, let's officially start the first part of the program. Black fans are commenting on what they want you to do. This box contains all the things that black fans want you to do. Don't worry, the comments I have copied are not illegal. Can I choose not to do it?" Lin fled with a forced smile, feeling that the group of black fans couldn't write anything serious. Sure, the 2 guests with the worst weekly task completion will not be able to stay in a 5-star hotel for the next week, and the production team will no longer provide them with 3 meals. By the way, it is reminded that this hotel has already been contracted by the production team, and it is not a place where you can afford to stay for 3 meals with money. It requires labor. Wang Dao looked at them with a smile on his face, clearly very kind, but his words were extremely heartless. Why did you ask us to wash dishes, floors, toilets, change accommodation, and have 3 meals for the hotel? Lu Wen widened his eyes and was shocked to the extreme. You can only switch to 3 meals, and you can choose to lay a floor in the corner of the lobby for your accommodation. Director Wang, you are so malicious. Gu Qian's tone was somewhat gritted. Thank you for the compliment. Come on, draw one by one in order. Lin fled and you came first. Director Wang did not receive any resentment from the guests. Wang Dao, do you have a grudge against me? Lin fled and walked up to draw a note with a smile on his face. No, I just want you to be the first to complete the task. Wang Dao revealed his standard 8 yellow teeth. What did you draw? The other guests surrounded curiously. Lin fled and opened the note as if facing death. Go to the public restroom and ask the passers-by if they can lend me a pair of chopsticks. I'm starving and in a hurry to eat. The camera also captures the content clearly on the note. Ha, 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 that's his mother ridiculous. Which brother wrote it? I exclaimed, bully. It's easy to lose, but I like it. I've started looking forward to other people's notes. There happened to be a public restroom right outside the hotel door, said Director Wang with a gesture of invitation. I will be mistaken for a lunatic. Lin fled, wanting to cry without tears, but thinking of the consequences of not completing the task, she could only grit her head and walk out the door. Immediately, a photographer followed along. The remaining 5 guests began to feel anxious, afraid of drawing any bad notes. Hurry up and smoke, don't waste time, Wang Dao urged desperately. The second person who came forward to draw a note was Chu Huayan. Randomly pull up a beautiful woman on the road to introduce her, a son who has been in prison for killing someone but is now 1.5 meters tall and jumping up to 1.8 meters tall, to see her reaction. The note in front of you reads. Wear yellow and torn socks to the shoe store to try on your shoes. Remember to show your boss your socks, don't buy them after trying them on, leave a message saying, your shoes really stink, and leave directly. Xia Mingyue's note. Pretend to fall in front of the handsome guy, wait for him to help you up, then jump into the social circle to thank him. Lu Wen's note. Shouting loudly on the bus. Can you stop making noise? If you don't study, others will have to learn. Don't delay me from taking the Tsinghua exam. Ha ha ha. The few of them looked at each other's notes and laughed uncontrollably. If these tasks are not what they need to complete themselves, they might just be a joke, but it would be sad if they have to complete them. Director. I need to draw again. This note is too embarrassing for the boss to think of me. Gu Qianqing has nothing to love. He just wears smelly and torn socks to try on shoes and doesn't want to buy them yet. I even despise the shoes in their store. The boss didn't kill him, it's not bad. No way. Director Wang didn't even glance at Hongmao. The staff also mercilessly handed Gu Qian the smelly socks with 3 large holes that could expose his toes. Gu Qian shuddered to take it over. The socks were extremely sour and smelly. If it wasn't for the pickled Chinese cabbage residue on them, he thought it was because who wore them for a long time. Wang Dao. It's up to you to make a wish, come and smoke. Okay. Su Yuan also walked up and took out a note from the box, opened it directly, and went to the mall to buy a headband to wear. When checking out, he casually asked where the bank was. Frog fun, it's the extent to which staff members are scared and report to the police on the spot. Buy a pink headband and lie down, at least it doesn't look like a bit of a robbery, ahaha. I suspect that all the villains on the variety show are helping them whitewash, but there is no evidence. The tasks are all so funny, how can I scold them? Don't worry upstairs, sisters. This is the first link. Director Wang is not a good stubble. It will happen sooner or later. Alright, let's split up and do the task. Each staff member and the audience in the live broadcast room will keep an eye on it, don't just try to fool things. Xia Mingyue just finished searching for videos of social shaking, and she jumped in anger. Director Wang, do you want me to dance this kind of dance? You drew it yourself, and the choice of whether or not to complete the task is also in your own hands. Wang Dao left this sentence and walked ahead, without intending to continue arguing with this difficult little princess. Xia Mingyue stared with big eyes, feeling that the 2 days when all the villains came were completely different from what she had imagined. It was not fun at all, and she had known she wouldn't have come. She went upstairs directly and didn't plan on doing this task. She had to call her dad tonight and quit the show. After leaving the hotel gate, the guests dispersed to complete their respective tasks. Behind Su Yuan, there were also 2 staff members and a photographer, as well as Director Wang. A group of people stopped at the large shopping mall, and Su Yuan had just taken a few steps before turning back. Wang Dao thought she was backing down. Making a wish, it's a waste of everyone's time to go back here. Your reputation is already bad, it's okay to lose face. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Crying, this is definitely not Cheng Yingdi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Crying, this is definitely not Cheng Yingdi. You haven't given me the money yet. The task was arranged by the production team, so the money for buying headsets should also be given by the production team. Su Yuan's face remained calm. Director Wang. Can you have some emotions about the task? Having only money in one's eyes is not a big deal, at least there is still black and red traffic, not just a few tens of yuan worth of headsets, right? Wang Dao. Give her money. The staff next to her immediately took a 50 piece from their pocket and gave it to her. After making a wish to receive the money, I entered the mall without looking back. Director Wang. This wish really makes me hesitate. I don't even want to lose a few tens of yuan. Laughing to death, your reputation is already bad. It's not a big deal to lose face, it's very comforting. Please speak more next time. Am I the only one waiting for the staff to ask the security guard to make a wish? Ha ha ha. After Su Yuan walked in, he didn't look around for a store where he could buy headsets. Instead, he asked a staff member and headed straight to his destination. Arriving at the entrance of the store, I made a sweet wish and said, "Hello, do you have headsets for under 50 yuan?" "Yes, it's all over here. You can come and choose," the staff warmly welcomed. The man who was originally sitting on the sofa and facing them sideways heard this familiar sound, and his spine instantly stiffened. He also forgot to retract his hand, which was bending down and tying his shoelaces. Until another staff member returned carrying a large bag of wrist protectors and looked at Cheng Yingdi in a daze, she gently called out, "Mr. Cheng. Are these enough for you to see? Do you need to book another batch for someone to deliver to your door?" "Enough, no need." Cheng Jing didn't even glance at the bag in the staff's hand. He turned around slightly, his gaze fixed on the woman who had been received by the staff to choose a headband in the corner. Her figure was straight, her waist was slender, and her demeanor was outstanding. She held a black headband in her hand, which contrasted sharply with her fair fingertips. Cheng Jing was extremely grateful that at this moment, his package was tightly packed, and she wished that she would not recognize him and avoid him. His gaze could also fall openly on her. Su Yuan, who had chosen a black headband, gestured on his head and confirmed that the size was correct, so he quickly paid for it. The staff handed her the recovered change and said, "Miss, change your money." "Where is the bank?" Su Yuan took the money and asked slowly. The staff member, who was originally smiling, had a big change in her face. Her lips stiffened, and she bought a headband to go to the bank. "Bank? It's not what she thinks, don't you recognize it too?" Su Yuan hid his headband behind him and spoke softly. The staff was frightened by the delicate-looking and gentle-talking woman in front of them, and their legs were weak, but they were afraid of offending the other person and putting themselves in danger. She could only grit her scalp and soothe, "You. Wait a moment, I'll go find a map for you." As soon as the staff arrived at the counter, they couldn't wait to call the security guard downstairs and said, "Hello, Xiaobao. You come upstairs and bring the map from the previous time. There is a customer upstairs who wants a headscarf." The staff thought the suggestion was seamless, but the security guard across from them didn't understand it at all. And under a moment of nervousness, she accidentally touched the hands.free button with her fingertips, so the answer on the other end of the phone echoed clearly in the store. "What are you shouting about? What map? Do I know you? Which store do you belong to? Do you know you called the wrong number? I'm a security guard, not a little treasure. Wishing. The photographer and director Wang, who were secretly taking photos outside the door, laughed with tears in their eyes. "Laughed to death, ha ha ha. I can tell that the staff are really panicked," even Xiaobao called out. "What's wrong with wishing? What did I miss? I just came back from the neighboring Lu1 live broadcast room and laughed uncontrollably." He put on the bus and shouted, "Stop making noise, don't delay him from taking the Tsinghua exam." The driver and passengers thought he was a mentally ill patient and jointly took him to a mental hospital for treatment, ha ha ha. Gu Qian is even funnier. He was wearing smelly socks to try on his shoes, and even said that your shoes are really smelly, boss. The boss pressed his head and asked him to smell his socks, telling him to seek treatment instead of going crazy everywhere, I regret hearing you say that. I stayed in the live broadcast room where I made a wish. This waiter is too timid. He wouldn't even dare to directly ask someone to come up and take away the wish even if he called the security guard. It's boring. I was just completing the task assigned by the production team, which scared you. I'm sorry. After sincerely apologizing with a vow attitude, he took a graceful step and walked outside, intending to leave. It's okay. It's okay. The staff breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out to be a task. Didn't the task assigned by the production team require me to go to the bank? If I had to, I happened to be on my way. A low, magnetic male voice suddenly came from behind. With a slight pause in her footsteps, she instinctively looked up at the director who had been leaning against the door. Director Wang always felt that the man's voice inside was too familiar to be spoken of, and he was tightly wrapped, not even showing his eyes, clearly not an ordinary person. With the intention of getting things done, he cleared his throat and deliberately said, "Of course I have to go. As for the task, it must be completed from start to finish. There is no rule on the note to go." Su Yuan raised his clear and transparent eyes with a cold expression. "That's not written clearly. Can I still not know the note I copied? Believe me, as a director, I can still deceive you." Director Wang tried his best to deceive, but it was not up to him to decide how to change the game tasks he had set. "Oh, just one byte can change the rules of black and white. Can we also add some numbers to the variety show contract without printing it completely? For example, my movie fee is not 500,000, but 5 million. What you're saying?" Director Wang was irritable and asked for a task. "As for being so serious. Poochie." Cheng couldn't help but laugh happily as she walked towards them not far away, listening to director Su Yuengang's words. Wishing is still the same wish, never losing. The wish is true. My sixth uncle, who flew over the eaves and walked on the wall, is still missing. Ha ha ha, I can tell that Director Wang is really angry. Playing word games requires making wishes, and who is the little brother next to him? He looks so handsome from his body and hair. To be honest, I am very annoyed by the pretentious behavior of making wishes. What does it matter if there are a few more steps to go to a bank? If you insist on making a move here, come and shoot a variety show. If you don't listen well, why are you doing tasks? I'll go. The man looks like the movie King Cheng. Even his voice is the same. It's impossible. My older brother wouldn't talk to Su Yuan on his own. He definitely can't let go of Sister Miaoyin. He must just be a man with a body shape and voice similar to that of Emperor Cheng. Yes, I just found out the schedule of Cheng Yingdi's return today. Sisters went to pick up the plane in the morning. I burst into tears. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. This breach of contract condition is really outrageous. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. This breach of contract condition is really outrageous. Su Yuan heard a deep male laughter coming from behind. She turned around, glanced at the man behind her, moved her red lips, and said, "It's not going well." Before Cheng Jingyan could reply, a woman suddenly ran over the door. Her eyes lit up and she exclaimed excitedly, "Ah! Are you Cheng Yingdi? Admit your mistake." The man reached out and pressed the hat down. This voice. "Brother Jing, I can't admit it wrong. I'm your 10-year-old fan, and I love you like a mouse loves rice." The female fan spoke excitedly, her voice not concealed. She was flaccid all over, never realizing that she had just gone out for a walk and met her idol, instantly feeling a burst of happiness. What did I hear? Where is Brother Jingyan? I need to go find him and ask for his signature. Oh my goodness. How could Jingyan brother appear here alone, his agent? How could he be so derelict? The pedestrians in the mall became restless, and a large number of fans who were annoyed by Cheng Jing rushed towards them. Wang and his group, who were originally just trying to take a quiet photo, were pushed to the corner. The staff could only be forced to stand up and maintain order. Don't squeeze, everyone keep quiet. The crazy fan base is huge, and only a few staff members can't resist it. Brother Jing, I want to take a photo with you. Wishing, let's run. Director Wang struggled to raise his toes and shouted to his variety show performers, attempting to escape the scene. Watching the fans about to break free from the constraints of the staff, Su Yuan stretched his legs and was about to follow Wang and the others to evacuate the scene. Suddenly, his collar was slightly pulled by a pair of big palms. "Help me." Cheng Jing's deep black eyes were pitch black and bottomless, and the veins on his bony palms were clearly visible. The photographer, who was squeezed by the crowd, was still working hard to shoot. Emperor Cheng took the initiative to get close to Su Yuan and even asked for his help, leaving netizens in front of the screen bewildered. "Cheng Bao. Why did you touch Su Wish? You're dirty," sobbing. "I would rather have actor Cheng surrounded by fans asking for his autograph than have him rescued by Su Yuan. Su Yuan likes actor Cheng so much that he will definitely make some tough demands afterwards. The barrage has just finished its grief." I saw Su Yuan mercilessly break open Cheng Jingyan's hand and pull back his hem. "That's your fan, don't be afraid, communicate well." Subsequently, she mercilessly evacuated the scene, and fans also broke free from the staff and rushed forward. Cheng Jing was tired of being squeezed in the center, unable to see anyone. Director Wang looked dumbfounded and said, "Are you just throwing Emperor Cheng into the wolf's den like this? Didn't you tell me to run fast?" Su Yuan tilted his head to look at him, his clear and calm eyes. "But even the actor Cheng has turned to you for help." Wang Dao felt that this wish seemed different from what was rumored. Isn't it that he intervened in the relationship between the actor Cheng and Shen Miaoyin? This doesn't look very similar either. I also refused. Wang Dao. It's almost time for dinner, let's hurry back. Su Yuandian opened her phone and looked at the time above. Then he took the lead and walked outside, and the staff followed suit. Compared to the influence of Emperor Cheng, there was no one from Wang Dao and Su Yuan who came to intervene. After all, compared to beating and scolding Su Yuan, it was more attractive to have Emperor Cheng's signature and group photo. "Ha ha ha, I'm sorry to Emperor Cheng. You're really miserable, but even if you make a wish, you really want to laugh at me." I refused. I refused. I refused. What kind of airplanes are your crew up to? How could they be so ruthless? My family, Cheng Bao, is still surrounded by fans. Damn it, I wish you could go back and help me out. It's already this time, and you can still eat. Don't you like my Cheng Bao? What if there are some illegitimate meals mixed in with the fans? If something happens to my brother Jing Yan at home, I will be at odds with Su Yuan. Does anyone feel that the way Su Yuan and Cheng Yingdi got along just now is very strange? Su Yuan shows no interest in Cheng Yingdi at all, but Cheng Yingdi actively gathers and even takes Su Yuan to the bank. No matter how anxious netizens are in front of their mobile screens, they have not been able to change the ruthlessness of this group of people. When they all returned to the lobby of the hotel, they saw Chu Huayan sitting on the sofa with a blue nose and swollen face, with medical staff filling him with medicine next to him. "How did you do this?" Wang furrowed his brows, as if he had been beaten up while completing a task. "Wang Dao, it's all your fault." Hiss, Chu Huayan gritted his teeth and fiercely tugged at the wound at the corner of his mouth, causing tears to splash out of his eyes in pain. "Ha ha ha, he introduced men to married women." Gu Qian couldn't help but laugh, and suddenly his scolding was nothing. Director Wang tugged at the corner of his mouth, and Chu Huayan's beating was normal. "Let's all eat first," he said after a group of people followed. Chu Huayan realized that there was still one person missing. "Has Mingyue finished the task yet?" "Teacher Xia Mingyue said she won't do this task," the host Xiao Si explained. Upon hearing these words, Chu Huayan knew for sure that it was normal for Miss Qianjin to not be able to pull her down. The hotel prepared a sumptuous boxed meal for the production team, consisting of 3 dishes and 1 soup. Everyone enjoyed it all morning when they were tired until they finished eating. Xia Mingyue only appeared with her luggage, and she had already put on a pair of high heels. "Director Wang, I will break the contract and not take photos," she said. "Can we continue filming until the end if we have to run a guest on the first day?" Xia Mingyue is really a sentimental ghost. Big SB, just jump into the social shake and get her repelled. What else can she do? Everyone may break the contract and leave directly, but making a wish is impossible because she doesn't have money. As long as the wish is still there, I will see it. Cursing makes a wish is my pleasure in life, don't think of comfort as a mistress. Okay, have you seen the breach conditions? Director Wang didn't have any panic on his face. Isn't it just money? You can just say how much you want. Xia Mingyue disdainfully said, her worst thing is money. Teacher Xia Mingyue, the condition for breach of contract is not to lose money. I suggest you take a look at your contract first. The host next to him, Shao Si, handed over the contract. Others also approached curiously, and the breach of contract column above read. If the artist fails to shoot according to the contract and chooses to breach the contract early, they must work as a hotel cleaner for 3 months, including all hygiene from floor to floor. Note: personal cleaning is required. Gu Qian couldn't help but want to spit out a fragrant aroma and said, lie down. Why are there such bizarre default conditions? Isn't it usually a loss? Xia Mingyue was also full of anger, asking her to become a cleaner. How could that be? She has never done dirty or tiring work. Why is the contract for making a wish different from ours? All 5 of us need to work as cleaners, but the one who makes a wish only needs to pay a compensation of 5 million. Lu Wen noticed one of the wishing contracts, his face full of confusion and doubt. He feels that the production team is biased towards making wishes. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Making a wish, are you human? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Making a wish, are you human? What do you think of Su Yuan? Wang Dao had a strong smile on his face. He was about to get into trouble and leave the question to Su Yuan to answer, but when he turned his head, he couldn't even see Su Yuan's figure. Wang Dao's face turned black and he said, where is she? Just now, she made a wish to ask me about the shooting schedule for the afternoon. I told her that the shoot didn't start until 1 o'clock, so she went back to her room to take a nap. Host Shao Si trembled, wondering if she shouldn't have disclosed it to Su Wish in advance. Sai, the time management master of Wishing Special. Only 10 minutes left to take a nap. Director Wang is a real dog. I can see through this contract because everyone else is not short of money, and the penalty for breach of contract can be paid casually. But it's different when it comes to being a cleaner. They are not fools either. They get paid for filming for 3 months or work as a cleaner for 3 months, which is exhausting. How to choose can be imagined, so Su Yuan is very poor. With so many followers, doesn't she contribute to her popularity? Su Yuan's black fans can be considered as ruthless people in contemporary times. Every time they scold her, they search directly and never pay attention. They don't click on any good words about Su Yuan, and even in group performances, Su Yuan is directly abandoned. I don't care, director, you're unfair. I want the same contract as Su Yuan. Xia Mingyue is too lazy to know the reason behind it. She only wants to leave this rundown place now, and she doesn't want to do any of the tasks inside. Once the contract is signed, it will take effect on its own and cannot be changed. Xia Mingyue, think carefully for yourself. Whether you want to terminate the contract or continue filming is up to you. Wang Dao opened his mouth with a smile, confident that the other party would continue to shoot. He had guessed from the day he was organizing this variety show that these young gentlemen and young ladies would give up halfway, but fortunately he was already prepared. Just take a photo. Xia Mingyue angrily pushed her luggage aside. Su Yuan happened to be stuck and came down from upstairs, her expression lazy and slightly lifeless, with a newly awakened posture. Wishing, did you really go for a nap? Lu Wen looked at the other person's face and couldn't help but wonder, why is there anything good to sleep in just 10 minutes? Su Yuan nodded coldly, his eyes still feeling a bit tired. Alright, now that everyone has gathered, let's announce the afternoon shooting. The destination is the haunted house, and the 6 guests will be divided into 2 groups. The production team will issue cards to everyone, and each person has different identities and tasks. People must uncover the ghosts in the haunted houses that scare tourists and tear off their nameplates to win. The ghosts must hide their identities until the time is over to win. Director Wang started announcing the game rules for the afternoon with a microphone in his hand. The staff holding cards next to them also began to distribute them to everyone one by one. Director, you didn't intentionally ask the staff to send me a card that couldn't complete the task well, did you? Lin fled and looked at the card on his phone, feeling uneasy. After all, she felt that Director Wang seemed to take care of her a bit, for example, letting her come first in the morning draw. Random, there is no intentional sending of any cards to anyone. Wang Dao couldn't help but laugh and cry. That's good. After receiving the cards, guests can follow me this way. The vehicles are already waiting outside. Okay. After reading the identities on their cards, everyone remained calm, but they couldn't be easily exposed by others. Xia Mingyue looked at the ghost actor on her card. She tightened her grip and didn't do her morning task. She had already completed one less task than others. She must pass this task. She didn't expect to really sleep on the floor. Xia Mingyue remembered the wish she had a grudge against her. She walked towards her in high heels and asked in a low voice, "Wish, tell me honestly, are you human? What else can I be if I'm not human?" Su Yuan raised his eyes and asked with great interest. Ha ha ha, Xia Mingyue is asking a very new question, wishing you are not human. I really want to be laughed to death. Xia Mingyue should be asking the actor on the card, right? I suspect that Xia Mingyue has a secret crush on Su Yuan, but there is no evidence. Look, Xia Mingyue doesn't even go to anyone else and always talks to Su Yuan. I really don't know why you're laughing anymore. Have you forgotten how disgusting it is to make a wish? Now, deliberately pretending to be aloof and wanting to whitewash is just a facade. Xia Mingyue was so anxious that she wanted to jump. I'm talking about a card. Are you a person on the card? She can threaten others not to expose herself, but Su Wish is someone who doesn't want to be soft or hard. She needs to know the other person's identity in advance to feel more at ease. No comment. Su Yuan glanced at her and took the lead in walking ahead. Xia Mingyue felt unhappy when she was rejected. You, stingy guy. Mingyue, do you really enjoy making wishes? Do you want to be friends with her too? Chu Huayan leaned over and was slightly surprised. He and Xia Mingyue were also half friends and had never seen Mingyue actively talk to anyone. On the first day of the variety show, I had a great conversation with Su Yuan. Xia Mingyue couldn't help but glance at Chu Huayan beside her and said, "Are you blind? I just hate her. She doesn't deserve to be my friend." Chu Huayan was scolded and dared not speak again. He kept silently reciting in his heart, and everything Xia Zhuijing said was right. When the vehicle was parked in the amusement park, there were few people inside, and the production team had already booked the venue, except for a dozen or so staff members standing in front of the haunted house. Coming, everything is ready inside the haunted house. The man in charge immediately welcomed him. Okay. Director Wang responded with a smile. Guests are requested to follow the staff to collect their uniforms, all wearing terrifying headsets. Although people may also dress like ghosts, the game rules prohibit scaring tourists. Host Xiao Si tied a small bee around his waist and spoke loudly. Isn't it impossible to recognize each other in this way for a while? Xia Mingyue felt that her probability of completing the task had greatly decreased. That's right, said Wang with a smile on her face. Xia Mingyue was thinking about something, and he guessed it thoroughly to ensure the fairness and impartiality of the task. Without asking anything about the wish, the first person to follow the staff to collect the clothing. Her mind only has one idea. Complete the task early, go back to rest early, try to finish work on time and avoid meaningless shifts. When a few people changed into black and white clothes, with blue-faced fangs on their heads and red-dyed headsets, they appeared in the pitch-black haunted house and were dispersed by the staff. Several photographers followed suit to shoot. Su Wang walked out in heavy clothing and casually found a corner to sit down. The photographer who followed the photo. Netizens in front of the screen. Who is this? She might have been a bit too ostentatious and just walked a few steps before sitting down. Pinch your fingers and calculate Xia Mingyue's skill. After all, she hasn't taken her task seriously. How do I feel like she's meditating? Shouldn't she be able to tell fortune and figure out who her enemy is, so it's easy to tear off someone's name tag? Let's publish a book upstairs. She's so imaginative, haha, so what is she doing? I'm so anxious, I really want to crawl in from the screen and ask her. End of this chapter. Chapter 8 Xia Mingyue. If you want to be friends with me, the most essential thing is. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Xia Mingyue. If you are friends with me, the most important thing you need is money. Director Wang looked at this scene in front of the screen outside the haunted house and was also puzzled. Fortunately, he instructed the staff to assign different colors to the shoulders of each person's clothing. So he could immediately recognize it as a wish, and he called out to the photographer through his speech, "Ask Su what he's doing, he's motionless." The photographer who received the director's instructions immediately followed suit. He walked closer with the camera on his shoulder and directly imitated the director's words, asking, "Wishing you, what are you doing?" "Being motionless." "Do the task," Su Ming replied casually without even lifting his eyelids. The photographer's confident tone made him doubt if he had remembered anything wrong, and then shook his head again. How could the task be sitting motionless in a corner? It seems that the task assigned by Director Wang is not sitting, is it? You are the ghost actor, you have to scare tourists and hide your identity. If I don't scare tourists, then no one knows I'm the ghost actor, right? Su Yuan raised his eyebrows and stared at him leisurely, with a hint of foolishness in his gaze. The photographer's older brother was greatly affected, and his face turned red as he said, "Of course I know, but it's useless for you to hide here. The human actors will eventually discover you, and they will tear off your brand name. But they haven't come yet. Brother photographer." This lazy excuse left him speechless. Making wishes is a real gesture, but it seems very reasonable. As long as it is a normal person, they should not be foolish enough to scare tourists into revealing their identity. Director Wang probably forgot about this vulnerability when customizing the game. Anyone with a normal mind should know not to scare tourists and hide their identity for a long time. Neighbor Lu Wen. I suspect the upstairs is secretly mocking me. That fool Lu Wen is really stupid, scaring people everywhere. Now he is being chased by Lin Run, trying to tear off his brand name. I thought there would always be peace and quiet here, and even Director Wang secretly regretted why he didn't set the game rules properly in the beginning. Suddenly, a figure ran in, two masks with blue faces and fangs looking at each other. Su Yuan was standing up with his hands on the ground, intending to run away when the person across from him with a green face and fangs suddenly collapsed on the ground with a limp leg. Xia Mingyue moved back and pressed her back against the wall. I warn you not to tear off my nameplate. I am Xia Mingyue, I hold a grudge. Upon hearing these words, Su Yuan, who was about to leave, sat back. Photographer brother. After finally finding someone, why are they still of the same kind? Xia Mingyue murmured for a while without hearing the other party's response. She slowly looked up and realized that the other party had sat back in place without moving. Don't you tear off my brand name. Su Yuan originally didn't intend to talk to her. But Xia Mingyue took a step back and sat over, as if liberated. I just know that not everyone is as crazy as Gu Qian, staring at my brand name. There are still good people on this production team. Is there a possibility that I'm not human? Su Yuan turned to look at her. Xia Mingyue's face froze when she heard the sound of making a wish. When the atmosphere became eerie, a tall and slender figure suddenly ran out of the corner, rubbing his fist in front of him, ready to move. Alright, Xia Mingyue. So you're hiding here, the one next to you. She's the ghost actress. Hurry up and help me tear off her name tag together. Make a wish, let's run quickly. Xia Mingyue was so anxious. There's only one of us, don't be afraid. Su Yuan slowly stood up from the ground and patted the dust on his hands. What do you mean by wishing? Xia Mingyue was a bit confused, but both of them were ghost actors. What else could they do without running away? Tear off his brand name, eliminate him, we are safe. As Su Yuan said, he really approached Gu Qian's side and ran away without any ghost actors. Xia Mingyue. Brother photographer. This wish is really bold. Not to mention that there is no famous brand that can tear off ghosts in the game rules, but also that as a delicate woman, she doesn't even look at her own weight, just wants to tear off the brand that the little Prince of Sonda has in front of her. Gu Qiange gave her a lesson, let her know why the flowers are so red. She has been unhappy with making wishes for a long time. At this moment, the broadcast also sounded. Lin fled and bravely subdued Lu Wan, successfully winning the first famous brand. Xia Mingyue became even more panicked. Isn't it just her and Su Yuan, the two ghosts, left? Later, the other two people also gathered around. How could they run? Make a wish, I won't hit girls. I don't hit people casually, but your brand is a must-win. Su Yuan grabbed the brand on his back with one hand and quickly attacked him. Gu Qian accidentally stumbled on his left foot and almost fell on his right foot. He didn't want to be humble, but instead started competing with Su Yuan for the famous brand. This human and ghost competition attracted most of the audience to gather, and no one even watched Lin's good performance in escaping. Gu Qian thinks that he can easily win a weak woman. Who knows that making a wish is fast, accurate and ruthless, just like endless strength. Soon he was pinned to the ground, and the name tag on his back was decisively torn off. The broadcast rings at any moment. The human actor Gu Qian has been eliminated. On the other side of the haunted house, Lin escaped and Chu Huayan said, can people still be eliminated? Wishing, you. Xia Mingyue's eyes showed surprise. Gu Qian had just chased her, teasing her like a cat. She probably knew how good Gu Qian's skills and physical strength were. But did Su wish easily subdue him? It's only 2 minutes or less. Let's go, hide in another place. It's not safe here. Su Yuan threw Gu Qian's brand on the ground and took the lead in walking forward. Xia Mingyue quickly ran after her, feeling a bit embarrassed to rely on someone else to protect her. This person is still her most disliked wish. She pretended to be arrogant and said, wishing you to protect me this time. If you successfully complete the task, you will barely be my friend in the future. Su Yuan tugged at the corner of his mouth, but there was no need to say, no, I didn't protect you. You followed me. Xia Mingyue widened her eyes, incredulous. Was she rejected? How can a wish be refused? How many of the daughters of her prominent Xia group want to be friends with her? She is different, and even if she wishes, she still doesn't cherish it. It's so frustrating. Make a wish, the most essential thing to be friends with me is money. Think carefully before answering me. Sleeping slot, Xia Mingyue, why don't you make this friend of mine? I won't blackmail you again in the future. Miss Xia, your good friend is here. Have you mistaken the person? Woo woo. When will you come and pick me up to our villa? Upstairs is really licking. Done, here comes a scene that makes me nauseous. Wishing so much for vanity, I must lick my face to please Xia Mingyue. End of this chapter. Chapter 9, I want you one sentence. Will you go home or not? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9, I want you one sentence. Will you go home or not? Su Yuan replied without hesitation, I don't eat soft rice. Xia Mingyue was about to scold her for not knowing what to do when she suddenly heard 2 footsteps coming from beside her. She, who had just been chased by Gu Qian for a while, was particularly sharp. Ignoring any argument with Su Yuan, she hurriedly ran over and hid behind Su Yuan. Has someone come again? Mingyue, your ears are really sharp. Chu Huayan spoke gently and slowly walked out from the corner. Lin fled from behind and followed closely. She half-jokingly said, so, when your Miss Xia's friend is not bad at money, don't pick Su Yuan as your friend. Why don't you pick me? Okay, don't tear off my brand name, I'll just force you to be my friends too. As soon as Xia Mingyue thinks of the scene where she has completed her task and slept in the corner of the hotel at the lowest level, her heart becomes arrogant and she can't wait to complete the task. As for Lin's escape, it's just a matter of having one more broken friend. No way, I must win this task. Tomorrow Moon, I wish you would not hand over the brand to me. It would also save our efforts and hurt our sister's friendliness. Lin fled with curved eyebrows and eyes, joking. She was in the limelight, how could she let them go like this? As long as she tears off another person's name tag, she can become the most outstanding person to complete this task, and she can also edit more of her shots in the post-production. Oh, that's strange. Do you mean to tear it apart? Can't even make a wish in front of Gu, do you think? Lin Escape and Chu Huayan, 2 vegetable chickens, can handle it. Su Yuan is handsome. I think I can reluctantly accept her to complete the task. Why should Xia Mingyue, that follower, lie down and win? I can't accept it. Wishing, why don't we tear off both of their famous brands? Xia Mingyue hid behind the person making the wish. At this moment, only wishing can make her feel secure. Su wished softly and pulled the sleeve on the master's sleeve, intending to make a quick decision. Wang Daomeng outside the haunted house patted his head and felt a headache watching the scene. He quickly rushed to the walkie-talkie and said, you tell me that the rules of the wishing game have changed, and the ghost actor cannot be eliminated. Director, I'm afraid I can't tell you anymore. Wishing has already started. The photographer, holding the camera, trembled in the corner. Outside the screen, Wang Daomeng turned his head and saw that Lin fled and Chu Huayan were sitting on the ground, while Su Yuan stood straight with 2 famous brands in his hands. He feels like he's going to die on the spot in anger. Originally, it was to prevent the ghost actor from being too weak and being torn off by the human actor's name tag, so the human actor was also given a name tag to prepare for any unexpected needs. He didn't even tell them that ghosts can eliminate people. Wishing is really his nemesis. The human actor Lin Escape was eliminated. The human actor Chu Huayan was eliminated, as Su Yuan practiced secretly. Gu Qian, who had long been eliminated, stood in front of the screen and turned his arm, feeling a faint pain in the area where Su Yuan had just held it. Who knows? Lu Wen thought of the double stick and anti-wolf spray in the suitcase, and he was very excited. Wish was a cruel man. It's better not to be cautious. The other 4 quickly emerged from the haunted house, and Lin fled with a face full of displeasure after the mission failed. After finally subduing Lu Wen bravely, he should be able to attract a wave of fans in front of many netizens. The result underestimated Su Yuan, this inconspicuous newcomer. At the entrance of a haunted house, Wang Dao looked at her with a smile on his face, feeling helpless. His game mission was to make a few guests feel embarrassed, rather than end it easily. Wishing, I know you have your own ideas, but can you discuss things outside of the game rules with me next time? Well, it's time to go back for dinner, Su Yuan nodded calmly. Her appearance is inherently obedient, but when she doesn't smile, she appears a bit indifferent. Director Wang is extremely angry. What's going on with the guests these days? Is there only dry food in my eyes? In the end, he could only sigh helplessly and say, let's finish work and go back. 6 guests were divided into 2 cars to board, and Su Yuan was about to board any car when suddenly a staff member stepped forward and blocked her way. Miss Su, please get in the car at the back. There's something in the car at the front that I can't sit in anymore. Okay. Without hesitation, Su Yuan took a step back and walked towards the vehicle behind her. For her, it was the same whether she took any car. She opened the car door in the back seat and sat in the car, leaning back with her eyes closed, completely ignoring the person sitting next to her. The vehicle slowly set off, driving for a long distance, and Su Yuanji sitting next to it finally couldn't bear it anymore. He revealed a hint of displeasure in his voice, Su Yuan, do you plan to keep getting angry with me like this and pretend not to know me? Do you know how full my hospital schedule is and how hard it took to take an afternoon off to wait for you here? Hearing the person beside her calling her name, Su wished to open her eyes and turn her head to glance. Are you? Su Yuanji felt extremely uncomfortable being looked at with such unfamiliar eyes. Su Yuanming is eager to return to the Su family and become a wealthy young lady. What kind of airs are you putting on here now? What are you pretending to be with me? I know my older brother didn't notice you had a fever that day and you were unhappy, but he himself is a relatively carefree person. How could he know if he didn't say so? Are you from the Su family? You still have 6 minutes left, just let me know your purpose. Su Yuan could probably tell his identity from the other person's words, but she didn't expect someone she hadn't seen in all those years of living in the Su family in her previous life. But I can see it in this lifetime. Thinking of this, she only felt amused. At the Su family, her elder brother was forced to pick her up. Except for Su's parents, no one welcomed her, and the other 3 brothers even refused to see her. But Su's parents' faint sense of guilt was too brief, and their hearts ultimately leaned towards the daughter they raised themselves with. Don't make a fuss, it's not easy for me to meet you on the All Evil People variety show. If you have any dissatisfaction, just say it out so we can discuss it, right? Your foster parents are gone, what do you want if you don't go home? Su Yuanji felt annoyed in his heart. A girl who grew up in a poor family was really greedy. Do we have to drive Tian away before she is willing to go home? Well, there are still 5 minutes left. Wishing her arm to the armrest, her fingertips lightly tapping, her face always cold without any emotional fluctuations. Do you have to talk to me like this? I just want you to say whether you want to go back to the Su family or not. This is the last chance, and I have personally comforted you. Our family has already made the most of our attitude, and our parents are still out of town negotiating contracts. We really can't come back now. Su Yuanji had an indescribable aversion to the biological sister in front of him who was bleeding the same blood. Tian is elegant and speaks fluently, understanding. Making a wish is like a hard stone, stubborn and inflexible. End of this chapter. Chapter 10 Lu 1. Wishing to come to my room at night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Lu 1. Wishing to come to my room at night. Su Wish's fingertips unconsciously tightened, which was the place she had been desperately trying to escape in her previous life. How could she possibly return? She lowered her gaze to conceal the cold feeling that flashed through her eyes, and her tone was firm and resolute. I don't want to, I will never go back. Su Yuanji was taken aback for a moment, obviously not expecting the promised answer to be so firm, completely different from what Big Brother described as being greedy, vain, and coaxing. You. The driver in front was about to arrive at the hotel, pulled over and reminded, Su Ershao, we are about to arrive at the hotel. Making a wish that doesn't appear in front of the camera for too long will make netizens in the live broadcast room suspicious. Su Yingdi clenched his fists, thinking that something could be solved with just one sentence, but he didn't expect it to be delayed for so long. He had to take out his business card from his pocket and hand it to Su Yuan. I don't have time to say much today. There's my phone number on it, but I'm very busy. Try not to call me. When you go back, just wait for my call. Su Yingdi made a wish without reaching out to take it, so he simply stuffed the business card into her hand and turned around to get off the car. He raised the corner of his mouth, and in his eyes, making a wish was just showing a high posture. He had collected all his business cards, and he couldn't help but worry too much about not calling. However, the next second, the business card he handed to make a wish was thrown out of the car window, with a cold and indifferent face. Put away your garbage, he said. Su Yingdi picked up the business card on the ground, and the force in his hand was so strong that he directly squeezed the card into a ball. His business card was actually called garbage. Watching the car fly away, Su Yingdi sneered sarcastically, afraid that he might have secretly memorized the number and pretended to throw it out. He was a bit curious about how long it would take to make a wish, and it would be best to endure it for a few days. Don't call him soon, then he won't show mercy. Returning to the hotel, the other 5 guests had already started their meal, and Su Yuan silently took a meal and casually found a seat to sit down. Xia Mingyue picked the farthest position from her when she made a wish, and her heart suddenly became unhappy. What does that mean? Do you think she's annoying? She is a prominent member of the Xia family group, and she won't take the initiative to please others. If she doesn't make a wish, she won't come. She's not uncommon either. No big deal, the favor of today's mission. She will repay it back when she comes back, and from then on, we will clear our minds. Chu Huayan noticed that Xia Mingyue had been staring at Su Yuan, and he swallowed with some difficulty, feeling like he had discovered something that shouldn't have been discovered. Mingyue, is your sexual orientation not quite normal? Get out of here, I don't want to talk to you right now. Xia Mingyue was bothering her, and talking to her was undoubtedly seeking scolding. Chu Huayan. It's over, don't deny it. Is this the default meaning? Is getting angry the result of being exposed by him? On the wishing side, she had just finished her meal and was about to return to her room when Lu Wen suddenly walked up to her with a twisted expression, his eyes facing each other. A dodge. A plane. Playing big card, what kind of walking posture are you? Can't you pull it out while holding it? Based on my 28 years of experience as a single mother and fetus, this is a confession. Seeing Lu Wen blush like that, how shy he must be. Is Lu Wen blind? It's not good who she likes. She likes to make wishes for a mistress. I think she looks really average, not as good. Looking as Lin Runaway in Xia Mingyue, if you hate making wishes, there's no need to forcefully criticize her. Her character is indeed not good, but her appearance is also really impressive. Make a wish, come to my room at night with mud, Lu Wen said vaguely, feeling that the camera was really annoying for the first time, leaving them with no privacy at all. Others present. They didn't hear it wrong, did they? Do Lu Wen want to make a wish under the rule? Still in front of the camera. What can't be said directly? Su Yuan's delicate eyebrows furrowed slightly. It's not convenient, you're right to come. What I want to say is very important, make a wish, you must come. Lu Wen left with these words and hurriedly left, afraid that making a wish would lead to more questions. He didn't keep his mouth shut. Why didn't he go to the room where he made a wish? He was afraid of the wolf-proof spray and the double stick. Solid and iron, with a single blow, he felt like he would return home. Remember to keep a close eye, Director Wang hinted and patted a photographer's shoulder. Received. The photographer was as vigilant as if entrusted with an important task. Tonight, even if he didn't sleep, he would lie on the roof and shoot the important thing mentioned by Lu Wen and Su Yuan. At 7 o'clock in the evening the guests were all resting in their respective rooms. Xia Mingyue originally didn't want to take care of making wishes, but the other party looked down on her money and willingly went to talk to Lu Wen, which was none of her business. But she couldn't rest assured in her heart, and in the end, she decided to go out and sneak a peek at what was going on in Lu Wen's room. She's just curious, it's not related to making wishes. Xia Mingyue had not yet found the best window position, and as soon as she turned her head, she saw Gu Qian, Lin run away, and Chu Huayan surrounding her. It can be said that it is a gathering of personnel. Mingyue, you're here too. Don't worry, I just saw it for you, and nothing happened to Lu Wen and Su Yuan. They were dressed well. Xia Mingyue's face was uncomfortable, as if she was very concerned about making wishes. It's none of my business. In the room, Su Yuan was very curious about what was important in Lu Wen's mouth. After she arrived, she stood by the door and waited. Lu Wen opened his wardrobe and took out a pink suitcase from inside, pushing it towards Su Yuan. He nervously turned his back and said, "I'll compensate you." Upon seeing the suitcase, Su Yuan suddenly realized and remembered his inferior suitcase that had been damaged by Lu Wen. From the appearance and material, the price of the one given by Lu Wen is much higher than hers. My suitcase is not worth any money. It's 19 yuan and 9 yuan for free shipping. This one is too expensive. Lu Wen's big eyes were filled with shock and he said, "Can that work? He doesn't even have a pen worth more than 19 yuan. I can't do it now, I've been smashed by you." Su Wish's red lips lightly lifted and she replied lightly. Lu Wen looked embarrassed and said, "I'm sorry, then you just accept this one from me. It's of good quality and won't easily break. No need, just compensate me 10 yuan. Isn't it 19 and 9 yuan? That's a brand new price. I've been using mine for half a month now, it's considered second-hand, and I'll give you a half discount." Su Wish's black and white eyes remained calm. "Oh, okay, I'll add you to WeChat and transfer money to you." Lu Wen had a magical feeling in his heart. It's only 10 yuan. He ruined something so cheap for the first time. Su wished to open the WeChat QR code and scan it for him. With a beep, the two successfully added it. Lu Wen also happily turned 10 yuan over. "I made a wish in no time, so I turned my head and took a step back to my room to rest." Pang! Suddenly, the sound of heavy objects falling to the ground came from behind. The photographer and director Wang slid off the swing on the balcony and fell into the room. "Director Wang! What are you doing?" Lu Wen's face was bewildered. At the same time, several people lying outside eavesdropping were also crowded. Su Yuan opened the room door and they all fell in together. They all said, "Don't push me, why don't I listen?" Lin fled and suddenly stopped when he saw the director ahead and the nearby Lu Wenha making a wish. End of this chapter.